Welcome back to the deep dive, where we like to get into it. Trade that information overload for something a bit more, how should I put it, digestible.
And today's journey, we're heading straight into the heart of Dublin. Buckle up because we're tackling the future of transportation, and let me tell you, it's a hot topic.
You can say that again. Our listener, probably like many Dubliners right now, is wading through a ton of proposals, jargon. It can be a lot. But here's the thing. This isn't just about subways and bus routes, is it? It's about the future of Dublin, what we want our city to be.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. You see, we're looking at all of this through the lens of Cormac McKay. Now, he's a real expert in transportation, but there's a twist. The guy's also considering a run for directly elected mayor of Dublin.
Okay, hold on now. That's juicy. So it's like we're getting a sneak peek into a potential mayoral candidate's vision. I am here for it. Tell me more.
Oh, it's fascinating stuff. We're diving deep into this statement Cormac made to Onboard Planalala. They're the ones that, the group that gives the green light to those big infrastructure projects here in Ireland. Now, our listener might already know Cormac, he's passionate about local democracy, really knows his stuff when it comes to climate change and all those cool new transportation technologies popping up.
So not just talk, the guy walks the walk.
Yeah.
But let's get down to brass tacks. What's his take on all these transport changes being proposed?
Well, he doesn't mince words when it comes to the MetroLink project. Actually, he sees it as, well, how to put it, a bit of a dinosaur, really. Potentially outdated, expensive, and he thinks it'll cause a lot of disruption in Dublin.
So not a fan of the Metrolink then. Give it to me straight. What are his main issues with it?
Cost effectiveness is a big one. He argues that Dublin, well, our population density might not justify such a massive investment, especially compared to, say, London. He claims, and this is interesting, that for the price of Metrolink, Dublin could actually retrofit thousands of buildings. Talk about a win-win, hitting both the housing crisis and making a dent in energy efficiency. It's about trade-offs, isn't it?
Makes sense, yeah. One size fits all doesn't always work when it comes to public transport. Every city's got its own quirks.
That's it. That's it. And the potential for years of disruption during construction, he's worried about that too. I mean, just imagine it. The noise, the detours, businesses impacted, residents. Cormac thinks those resources could be put to better use, addressing more pressing needs.
Right, so it's not just about the trains themselves. It's about, like, the bigger picture of what Dublin needs right now.
Absolutely. And it doesn't stop there. He's particularly concerned about the impact all of this could have on the health of folks living along the proposed route. He mentioned studies about the effects of noise and vibration from trains, things like sleep disruption, stress, even potential links to, well, let's just say more serious conditions down the line.
Whoa, okay, he's not sugarcoating anything.
Nope. Cormac even questions how transparent the National Transport Authority has been, even suggesting there might be some, how do we put this delicately, questionable dealings going on with how contracts are awarded.
Someone's not afraid of a little controversy, huh?
Yeah.
He clearly feels strongly about this, responsible spending, and looking out for Dubliners.
Without a doubt. And remember, all of this is coming from a statement he made as a private citizen. So it really makes you wonder, if he does throw his hat in the ring, will we see the same outspokenness on the campaign trail?
Now that is the million-euro question. And you know what? It's the perfect place to pause. We've heard the criticisms, but what does Cormac propose we do instead? What's his alternative vision? Okay, all right, you've definitely piqued my curiosity now. Underground tunnels, but hold the trains. I'm intrigued. What's major? Cormac got up his sleeve.
He calls it the Dublin Loop. Catchy, right? Yes. And it's all about embracing the future, really going all in on those futuristic transportation technologies we keep hearing about, but, haven't quite seen yet.
All right, enough with the teasers. Spill the beans. What does this Dublin Loop actually look like? Paint me a picture.
Okay, picture this. A network of tunnels. But here's the thing. They're smaller, more cost-effective, crisscrossing beneath the city. And get this, they're designed specifically for autonomous vehicles.
So instead of those massive MetroLink tunnels, we're talking something more like an underground highway, but for self-driving cars.
You got it. He points to the Dublin Port Tunnel as a starting point, though I'm not sure how many of our listeners are familiar with that one.
Good point. Good point. For those who haven't had the pleasure of experiencing Dublin's underground labyrinth, what is it about the Dublin Port Tunnel that makes it such a good comparison?
Well, the Dublin Port Tunnel, it was finished back in 2006, and honestly, it was a pretty big deal, a major feat of engineering. It allows all those heavy trucks to bypass the city center completely, which, helps with traffic flow, air quality, the whole shebang. Cormac sees it as, like, the perfect jumping off point. He wants to take that concept and, well, supersize it, create dedicated underground roadways for autonomous vehicles to just whoosh, zip around beneath all the hustle and bustle.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. Get those big buses, delivery trucks, everything out of sight, free up all that space above ground for pedestrian cyclists. I mean, we're talking a whole different Dublin up top, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And because these tunnels, they'd be designed specifically for autonomous vehicles, you wouldn't need those complex ventilation systems designed for, cramming hundreds of people onto a train car.
Yeah.
Cheaper, faster to build. Cormac's all about efficiency.
That's thinking outside the box for sure.
Yeah.
It's not just about the technology itself, but how that technology, unlocks a totally different way of designing things. But if I remember correctly, he didn't stop with the self-driving cars. Wasn't there something about air taxis too?
Oh, absolutely. Cormac is all about those electric air taxis, those small electric aircraft take off and land vertically. Think like a futuristic helicopter had a baby with an eco-friendly drone.
Now we're talking air taxis zipping across the Dublin skyline. I'm sold. But what's the thinking there? Why air taxis?
Well, he really believes they could be a game changer for those short-haul flights, especially those trips to and from the airport, which anyone who's ever been stuck in Dublin traffic knows can be, well, let's just say less than ideal. He even sees them as a way to, I don't know, take a bite out of car journeys within the city, especially for longer commutes.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of that, especially if it means avoiding rush hour. But let's be real, is this even feasible? Are we talking about something that could actually happen, or is this getting into pie-in-the-sky territory?
I get it. It does sound a bit out there, but what makes Cormac different is that he actually backs it up. This isn't just some, fever dream. He actually points to real-world examples of this stuff already happening. Like, check out the Boring Company. They've got that loop system down in Las Vegas, and they're actually transporting passengers in Tesla vehicles right now, as we speak, underground.
Wait, seriously, this isn't just some sci-fi movie. This is actually happening somewhere.
Yep, and it's not just happening in the desert. The Paris Olympics coming up soon. They're planning on using electric air taxis to shuttle people between venues to and from the airport. Cormac is all about learning from those who are already doing it.
Now that you mention it, I do remember him talking about arranging for some of the Irish government officials to go and experience these technologies for themselves. Hands-on kind of guy, I like it.
Totally. He even extended that invitation to the onboard Planala, the very board. He submitted his statement to, hop in a robotaxi, take that air taxi for a spin.
Yeah.
Bold move, right?
That's one way to get their attention. It's like you saying, don't take my word for it. Come see it for yourselves.
Yeah.
I have to admire his, what's the word, conviction.
Oh, absolutely. He's not just advocating for this stuff. He's challenging the status quo. He's saying, look, think bigger. Think beyond the same old solutions. He wants them to see what he sees, the potential for this to completely transform Dublin. It's about being bold, having a vision for the future.
It's refreshing, isn't it? To have someone come in with a positive vision, not just complaining about the way things are, but actually offering solutions. He's painting this picture of a Dublin that's not just efficient, but livable, sustainable, dare I say even, enjoyable.
And that's a really key takeaway here. Whether you agree with all of his criticisms, whether you think the Dublin loop is, a little far-fetched, you can't deny he's making us think. He's pushing the conversation forward. He's asking, what kind of Dublin, what kind of city do we want?
It's funny, isn't it? We start off talking about something as, as kind of basic as Dublin's transport system, and here we are talking about air taxis and underground highways. Wild.
It's classic Cormac, though, isn't it? Always connecting those dots. Local politics, urban planning, tech, even climate change. He's managed to weave it all into, a pretty compelling story.
He certainly got people talking, that's for sure. But I think what's really resonating, at least for me, is that he's not just pointing fingers, right? He's actually putting some pretty bold ideas out there, alternatives, which I think is what we need. It's that what if that gets the gears turning.
And yeah, okay, some might call the Dublin Loop radical, maybe a bit out there, but let's not forget what's radical today is often, well, just normal tomorrow, isn't it? Look how much transport has changed even in our lifetime. I mean, did anyone really predict those ride-sharing apps or electric scooters taking off like they did?
That is so true. Technology has a way of, sneaking up on you. And think about how quickly we all adapted to video calls and online shopping and all that during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We're a flexible bunch when we need to be.
That's it. And that adaptability, that's going to be crucial as we, figure out this whole future of transportation thing. Who knows what's next, right? But one thing's for sure, the way we move around our cities, it's going to look radically different in the next few decades. That's a given.
And you know what I like about Cormac's perspective? He's not just sitting back and watching it all happen. He's trying to shape it, to be a part of it, asking those questions like, what kind of Dublin do we want? What kind of future? And those are questions, frankly, we should all be asking ourselves no matter where we live.
He's pushing for a city that's not just like efficient, ticking all the boxes, but one that's livable, sustainable, yeah, enjoyable, why not? And seeing technology as a tool to get us there, that's refreshing, isn't it?
It's about taking back our cities, isn't it? Our streets, our air, making them ours again. Creating a Dublin that's not just, functional, but actually inspiring. And hey, who knows, maybe someday we will be hailing those air taxis after all.
Now, wouldn't that be something?
This has been quite the deep dive, from those MetroLink tunnels all the way to, well, sky's the limit with those electric air taxis. We covered a lot today. But as always, we want to leave you with something to chew on. Imagine you're Cormac for a second. What's your vision for Dublin? What bold ideas would you bring to the table? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep.